Hey,
Hey, everybody.
good evening. Good evening. It's August 9th, 2020. Well, I have to talk a little bit about that date. Several chapters ago, um, my chapter started with the date August 9th, 1963, and talks about me getting run over by a car and my sports being put on hold and all kinds of stuff happening. And I used that for about over 20 years as the reason my life sucked. It changed everything that I was looking forward to, and all the I used it as an excuse, and it was my alcoholism that took out all my would have beens, could have been, should have beens. That was, that, but it's only 50. I remember that date every year, August 9th. I'm quite aware. And, we're going to get going here. Should we give it a shot?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. We're here to read two more chapters in our book, In Spite of Us, a love story about second chances. It's available bookstores, the library, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's if you haven't read it and you'd like a copy, you can get it, or you can go check it out at the library.
And I posted the link. I'm finally getting this figured out a little bit, so I posted the link that you can go to on YouTube to go back and start with chapter 1 or watch any of the ones that you've missed.
Yes, and another thing we're going to do tonight is we had a drawing for a copy of this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, 101 good feel-good stories. Laughter is the best medicine. And Deb, my favorite author, just happened to have a story published in this book. And at the end of tonight, we will announce the winner of the drawing for this copy.
And in order to get a copy, in order to be in the drawing, you need to share this video on your Facebook page, and then that way we'll be able to see that you did that, and we add your name to the drawing, and it stays in there. And then every couple of weeks or so, we draw a name out. And so your name could be in there if you've done that before, but if you do it again, your name will end up back in there. So
okay. And before we get going too far, before we start reading, I'm going to read a review of our book. And this review was on an Amazon review by Sue and Mark. Quality time. Both my husband and I really enjoyed this book. It had laughter, tears, and what? We read it together, each reading a few chapters at a time. Great time together reading about the trials, tribulations, and joys of this couple's journey. The depths of their openness was amazing. Thank you for that review, Sue and Mark. And with no further ado, Deb's going to do what?
a song and dance.
Song and dance? Oh man, I forgot to wear my dancing shoes.
Okay, so first I want to say we've got a couple of, a few reviews written by husband and wives that read the book together, and I just love that. That
Yeah.
just blesses my heart because they read them out loud, and she would read her part and my part, and he would read Sandy's. So. Okay, so my chapter tonight it covers a very embarrassing moment for me. It's funny now, but back then, not so much. This chapter also shows how much at this stage of our relationship we're fighting and struggling to get along. We've just gotten married. We haven't been married very long. And we both came into the marriage with a lot of baggage, like a lot of us do, but our baggage that we came into appears to be mismatched luggage. And Sandy has been thrown into a new home with me, with two children. He's starting a new job, and if we're honest, neither one of us would recognize what a good spouse is if they tapped us on the shoulder. Okay. I'm not drinking per se, but have done nothing to replace that coping device. And for those of you who have gotten sober, you know what that means. You know that it's very difficult when you're not drinking and you don't have that to numb things that you're used to numbing. And so we're struggling. I do at this point know that I love Sandy and I want to be a good wife, but I have doubts that I'm capable, and I haven't a clue who a good wife would be for Sandy. And my relationship with God in this stage at this point is best described as emergency only. Okay. So, chapter 33 is called
Third chapter. Okay.
Nice Hats. Side by side, looking into the mirror on the back of our bedroom door, I'm pleased with our understated costumes for the holiday costume party at Comprehensive Mental Health. Thanks to avid junking habits, we have matching black derbies, tuxedo jackets, shirts with studs and cufflinks, and walking sticks. Next year, when Sandy's not the new guy, we can get bolder costumes. We need a fun evening right now. All we do is fight about everything, from whether Jay should have Nikes like his friends, to whose turn it is to take out the garbage. The stress of this season is not helping. We juggle family and work obligations, pushing to meet the expectations of each other, knowing we'll fail. It seems it's time to pay dues for our slap-happy choices of divorce and remarriage. We've created a world of odd man out for myself, Sandy, and our children. It's not that we don't feel welcome sitting at Christmas dinner with Sandy's family. It's just out of focus. A slight twist of the lens, you see that Haley and Jay are bystanders, extras thrown into this scene of lifelong relationships. Having no insider information, they're left to ponder the unspoken punchlines, verbal side jabs, and family innuendos. It's just the way of the scrambled nuclear family. Holidays at my parents' house, same plot, different cast. Sandy plays the part of the contagious sober alcoholic.
Ooh.
I'm the Benedict Arnold who married him. During our last visit, my semi-slosh brother, who stiffened when hugged, later wagged his finger in my face, warning, "You're no better than us, and your marriage is doomed." The worst events for me are the family shindigs held at Sandy's ex-wife's house. There's Bonnie, also known as Barney, surrounded by a lifelong fleet of loyal friends and family who've also known Sandy half his life, and me, the odd peg with no hole that fits. It's not that I'm treated poorly, quite the opposite. Bonnie is especially polite and gracious. Nevertheless, I'm the mongrel in the pack. Likewise, attending AA parties, open meetings, and dances, I am the man or woman without a country. The clashing chartreuse M&Ms, the wonky piano key, the weirdo who doesn't drink but is not an alcoholic. Everyone is polite, kind even, but confused how to interact. In the elevator ride up to the makeshift ballroom, I double-check our safe classic costumes, well pleased. Tonight, I want to fit in, have fun. It's time to write my own character. No preconceived ideas of who I am or am not. No one here knows me and I don't know them. No history, a fresh start. The first thing I notice entering the room are the tables with white linens, crystals, and fresh flowers. All eyes have turned our way. The ladies in the ballroom are dressed in long gowns of silk and crepe. The men are in tuxedos with shiny shoes. Not one is wearing a hat, carrying a pocket watch, or sporting a 19th century walking stick. I realized that unless everyone conspired to dress as normal people attending a swanky employee holiday celebration, this is not a costume party. My face is pulsing hot. I look over at Sandy. He appears to be having a marvelous time. He's eating a stuffed mushroom, tapping his foot, enjoying the music from the 7-piece orchestra. He's so happy in his little world of delusion, adding strawberries to his overloaded china plate, fiddling with his pocket watch chain. I'm calm, thinking good thoughts, like tackling him into the 6-foot mermaid ice carving gleaming behind him. I approach just as a normal young man comes alongside him. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you here.
Thanks, Mike. This is my wife, Deb.
Hi. Very nice to meet you. Great hats, by the way. I manage a nod.
The costumes are Deb's idea. She's the creative one.
The rest of the evening is spent nodding to the cute hats remarks and answering questions about our suspenders and canes. When opportunity allowed, I asked several partygoers my one burning question. Did you see a flyer or hear anything about this being a costume party? Not one alibi. Sandy is the lone witness to the alleged flyer requiring costumes. Just him, standing by the food table, eating chocolate mousse with a silver spoon. Driving home, I try to be a good sport. Stay in the someday we'll laugh about this mode.
Today.
Somewhere between his insistence that he was right and all the other well-dressed partygoers were wrong, a war started. Neither of us willing to toss the towel in the ring, I shout the last words. Get out! Get out! Get out now! Normally he dawdles long enough for me to say, I'm sorry, please don't go. This time he's gone. I don't know what to do. It's not what I meant to happen. The ashes spill over in the ashtray as I snub out the last smoke in my pack. Tubby wants outside, probably needs air. My lungs feel tight opening the sliding glass door and hurt reaching for a pack of cigarettes in the cupboard. That means my signature chronic bronchitis is lurking. Bronchitis is the reason I smoke menthols. Smoking menthol is similar to using a vaporizer, and it stops the coughing temporarily. I empty the ashtray, setting up camp on the sofa in the front room where I can see if Sandy pulls into the drive. I just sent the man I love away, my husband. I cry out. I can't take this anymore. I want to change. I don't know how. Please, God, please help me. I must have fallen asleep, surrounded by crumpled, tear-soaked Kleenex and an overflowing ashtray. Tubby is barking to come in. It's nearly 8 o'clock. Sandy is awake by now, always up and showered by 7. He doesn't care about me. If he did, he wouldn't have abandoned me. Tubby's wagging tail of gratitude makes me feel guilty. As I slide the door shut, my chest feels like it's squeezed in a vice. The bronchitis is taking hold. I can hardly catch my breath. I light a smoke, hoping the menthol opens my airways. It hurts to inhale. I snub it out. Where is Sandy? I'm glad the kids are at their dad's this weekend. As much as we fight, we've been able to keep it hidden. Maybe if I go to bed, stop the window watching obsession, Sandy will show. Walking the 15-foot hallway to the bedroom takes 3 heart-pounding, wall-leaning breaks. It's my worst case of bronchitis yet. Reaching for the bed, I crawl under the covers, suspenders hanging. Around noon, I wake to knocking at the door. Why doesn't he just use his key? It takes forever to get to the door. Stopping every 3 steps to breathe. Sandy is pounding on the door. I can't get enough breath to yell for him to use his key. I make it. Ready to fall into his arms, apologize, say whatever it takes for his forgiveness. I'm shocked not seeing my hero, but a frail, blue-veined, elderly man. He's blind to my gaunt, deathbed appearance, and apparently impatient I took so long answering his door beating. I saw the for sale sign. My bride-to-be and I live right there at Peachtree, he says, pointing to the assisted living complex. Our families want us to remain at the home, but we want a place of our own. Could I take a look at your house? Sure, why not, I say between short jabs of breath. He's quite peppy. I explain I'm not feeling well and invite him to look around on his own. He's a talker. I slide onto the sofa, thankful for his distracting chatter. I was married 60 years the first time. Here I am in love again. Myrtle uses a walker, but we manage, he hollers from the bedroom. They think we're too old. Not so, we've got plenty of living to do. I cared for Alice, my first love, the last 10 years. She passed away 6 months ago. He finishes his tour, asking if he can bring Myrtle back for a tour next Tuesday, after the doctor removes the bunions from her feet. I nod yes, wishing I could brew some tea and visit. He winks, stepping out the door to walk back to the place Sandy respectfully calls the Raisin Ranch. Trudging back to bed, I wonder if someone will love me after my teeth, hair, and wits are gone. I flop across the bed face down, hoping this position might fix the problem. I wonder if it's something different than bronchitis. I can't even smoke a cigarette. I'm smothering on my stomach but can't roll over. I want to jump up when I hear the door and footsteps coming down the hall. I didn't lock the door. I'll bet he's brought Myrtle back to see the house. I feel the foot of the bed lower from weight. It's Sandy. He's waiting for an apology. I need you to take me to the Medi Center. Long pause, catching breath. I have bronchitis. Long pause, catching breath. Or maybe it's trapped gas. I can hardly breathe. Will you help me roll over? Long pause, catching breath. And would you bring me a beer? Long pause, catching breath. It might help the gas. The mattress rises as he leaves. I hear the refrigerator door open and close as the psst of the can as he comes back into the room.
Do you want a glass?
No. Long pause to catch breath. Where did you go? How could you just leave me here?
You told me to get out.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Some tough stuff. And I'm going to be reading, I just closed the page, chapter 34, and a little bit about this chapter is, yes, we fight way too much. And yeah, definitely it was my fault about the costume. And
Wow, he admitted it.
but yeah, today it's kind of funny. and I thought I'd had enough and I was done. The fighting just wasn't worth it. And I left and had a very memorable weekend with a dear friend, and came back and to some scary stuff, real scary stuff. And yeah. So, yeah, there's not much to be said besides that. I will just read this chapter, and it's chapter 34. She will never quit smoking. I'm tired of being tossed out like a bad dog. I'm not going back. She can have her train wreck, solo. Last time she ordered me out, I stayed at my folks' house while they were at the beach. This time, they're at home. I don't feel like talking. I just need a place to crash. My sponsee, Delbert, is a good choice. His second marriage just bit the dust, so he'll get it. Some understanding is worth the 30-mile drive to the reservation town of White Swan. Delbert's a Native American, a self-made entrepreneur in the logging industry. There's always at least 6 kids living with him, so he'll be around. Our sponsor-sponsee relationship is an I'll show you mine, you show me yours deal. Simply said, we've exchanged dirty laundry. It's past midnight when I pull onto his property holding both his home and business. It's like entering a Colombian drug cartel with a 12-foot chain link fence and flashing motion sensors. Delbert waves me in, recognized my truck from the porch. No explanations are needed. Showing up late at night told the story. A questionless greeting and a hug is what I expected and got. I need sleep. Tomorrow I can figure things out. I eyeball the overstuffed sofa as my makeshift bed for the night. Delbert grabs his phone. Let me make a couple of calls, he says, dialing the phone. Hey Zeke, got a friend here, my AA sponsor. You up for a sweat? Great, see ya. Oh, and call Joseph, okay? We'll get it fired up. Ignoring my hand gestures, waving, "No, stop, no, no." He hangs up the phone, motioning for me to follow. "Come on, man, it'll be great. Trust me, let's go." Too tired to argue, I follow him outside. It's 30 degrees, but it feels like it's below zero. I gather firewood along with Delbert, placing it inside a hut made from tree limbs and covered with canvas. When the fire is glowing hot in the hut, we stack boulders on top, creating an oven suitable for Hansel and Gretel. Zeke and Joe arrive, nod hello, strip naked, and lie alongside with Delbert, take turns mooning me as they crawl inside the hut. I'm left standing in the freezing ass cold, fiddling with my shoes and socks. I've heard stories about Indian sweat houses, but never that it was done on a whim in the middle of an icy cold night. I did hear they smoke peyote and puke, thus purging all the sins they're hoarding. The other perk of smoking peyote, you get really stoned. Toes and fingers numb, I slide out of my boxers, crawling in to join the others. The heat greets my face like a blowtorch. I'm relieved and disappointed that this is the AA Sweathouse version with no cool peyote pipe procession, just 3 naked Indians seated powwow style in a pool of sweat, and me. I concentrate on the task of breathing in and out, listening best I can to Delbert explain the sweat lodge process. This is round 1. Recognition of the spirit world, thanking the Creator for the elements, water, air, earth, and life. I am lightheaded from the heat. I fight the urge to share my vision of Bugs Bunny in the boiling pot over the fire as Yosemite Sam adds carrots and onions to the water. I fake it through the gratitude prayers, reciting whatever comes to mind that seems similar to their chanting. I want to delve into the spirit realm with the others, but I can't breathe, and fear of what's next is distracting. When Zeke lifts the door flap, I consider diving across the others to get out of the oven. I wait my turn. You know that old saying about stepping out of the frying pan into the fire? Well, stepping out of the oven into the icy cold is worse. I step out. Heat met cold, disappearing before the door flapped shut behind me. Delbert grabs a shovel, breaks ice formed on top of the metal horse trough, climbs the wooden steps, and falls headfirst into the trough. Moments later, he pops up, Shakes Grizzly style, climbed out, and joins me at the bonfire. Zeke and Joe do the same, gathering at the fire, one on either side of me. I'm ready to scream, "Hell no!" and run naked through the woods if they pursue my turn. After a period of grace, the 3 naked, wet Indians and I crawl back inside the hut. I welcome the 140-degree oven for about 2 minutes when the Bugs Bunny vision returns. Round 2 is recognition of the Creator's wisdom, humbly asking for his help. When they had spoken, and the silence lingered, I asked for direction and solutions. Feeling clumsy, having never prayed out loud before, I wonder if they're laughing at the white guy. When they reiterate my words in prayer for me, I believe their sincerity. The heat is unbearable. I'm ready to leap outside for another part shriveling session as the flap opens. One by one, they take the second plunge. When Joe pops out of the water, the smart side of my brain must have frozen. I climb the 3 wooden steps, diving in head first. My lungs deflate, my manhood cringes. Automatically, I pray, "Please, God, don't let me squeal like a little girl." Prayer answered, I entered the hut for the 3rd and final round, knowing that my first ice water plunge is also my last. The final round centers on spiritual growth and healing through meditation and song. Delbert encourages me to ask for my song. Last month I spent 2 days with Deb at the Toppenish powwow while she ran an informational booth for work. The songs were beautiful, serene, haunting. I'm not asking God for the impossible. I nod like, sure, hang on while I ask him now, but I didn't. I sat marveling at Delbert, Zeke, and Joe lift guttural, spirit-led voices to the Creator. Song or not, I know something beyond my understanding and reach is present. While they indulge in the final dip, I dress, blessed socks first, and standing next to the bonfire, they leisurely dress, saying their goodnights, give me a sincere good luck pat on the shoulder. At last, I'm horizontal under a Pendleton blanket on the sofa. I've no worries that sleep will be sound. I am wrong. The remainder of the night, I ponder one question. Why can't we get along? Around 5 a.m., tired of battling, I get up, shower, and make a pot of coffee. An hour later, Delbert stumbles into the kitchen, pours a cup of coffee, joining me at the table. He's chained at home. A few months back, his wife left him with a herd of kids. Some are theirs, but most are informal adoptees from neglectful homes around his community. I'm grateful for the Sweat Lodge experience, but I'm not chancing a morning rerun of Naked Indian Guys over ice. And I need a meeting. I make it back in time for the early AA meeting, but the serenity part doesn't take. I drive around, visit my folks, eat a bowl of Mom's beef barley soup. I show up at our house, relieved my belongings are not strewn across the yard. That's kind of crazy stuff she might do. The car is in the drive and the porch light is on. And she's still sleeping, but it's nearly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Tubby barks when I unlock the door, then runs down the hall to the bedroom. Deb is in bed, wearing last night's costume, lying on her stomach. She stirs when I sit on the edge of the bed, whispering. I can't make it all out.
I'm not okay. I can't breathe.
I'm prepared for one of her fits, but not this. I know this scene. My granny perfected it. She had spoiled everything, claiming one of her spells, demanding the world to stop turning while it catered to her ails. I didn't fall for Granny's act, and I'm not buying Deb's show either. I get her a beer as requested. Nice touch, Deb. She thinks she might have gas. I help her roll over. When a beer and a cigarette do not cure her, she asks me to drive her to the Medi-Center. I can't say no. No one ever said no to Granny either, for fear it would be the time she fell over and croaked. Deb's playing the scene with all her heart, stopping, leaning against the wall, grasping for breath, holding her chest. I'm ready to toss her over my shoulder so we can get on with Act 2 of this drama. At the clinic, she tells him she might have gas. Now that's going to get them to hurry things up. There's a woman out here with killer gas. Get a gurney. Out here. Stat! We wait. We stare. No words. No looks. The others in the waiting room assume we're strangers. When Deb finally leaves with the nurse, I look for something to read besides parenting advice or senior citizen propaganda. I settle on a People magazine with the headline, Sex and Politics. With the first flip of the pages, I realize it's another Anita Hill story. Bored, I hand it to a kid walking by. I feel a tap on my shoulder. I ignore it, thinking the kid wants to return the magazine. The presence remains. I open my eyes to the nurse in my face. Mr. Palmer, we need to call an ambulance for your wife. The doctor wants to talk with you. I fall into a deep sleep? And is this a dream? The doctor greets me in the hall. Deb is gathering her purse and jacket. The doctor is speaking words I can't absorb. Her left lung is 80% deflated. A pneumothorax. She needs to go to the hospital. Now. Deb slides off the table, leaning back on it for support. Waving her hand like she's shooting nets, she orders.
You're driving me to the hospital. I don't need an ambulance. I told them already.
She submits to a wheelchair, a favor to the nurse. Deb thanks her in the sweetest, sincerest, pure little voice. As soon as the door closes, the boot camp sergeant voice returns.
I'm having a cigarette on the way. Don't say a word. Who knows when I'll be able to have another?
I keep quiet. An attendant with a wheelchair is waiting at the emergency entrance when we arrive. We are escorted straight to a doctor. For the first time since returning home from White Swan, I look at Deb. Her skin is yellow and drawn. Her body looks thin and frail. Why hadn't I noticed this before? The doctor seems pleased for the adrenaline rush to his slow day. He smells my fear, knows I don't trust him with my wife's life. Holding the scalpel in one hand, he deadpans an explanation of the course. A pneumothorax usually occurs as a result of a gunshot or knife wound in the lung or a fractured rib from a car accident. In some cases, it's caused by air blisters that break open, sending air into the space around the lung. That's usually the result from air pressure changes from high altitudes or scuba diving. Sometimes athletes, if they're really tall and thin. What Deb hasn't been shot or run over by a bus, nor has she been mountain climbing or scuba diving. She's no athlete. I want to scream, "Hey, Dr. Idiot, she smokes like the bowels of hell." Talking more to Deb now, he continues, "I'll be cutting a V shape here, putting to her left upper chest, to insert a tube into the lung. Try not to panic. As the air reaches capacity in the lung, you'll feel like you're drowning." He turns to me. "You staying?" "Of course I'm staying." But Deb has other ideas. Each word hurts and she's getting riled up.
Haley and Jay, talk to them. Don't call my folks. I'll tell them later. Go, please. I'm good. And please pack me a bag and grab my work files.
I pray on the run. I can't breathe. My affliction being the hand of guilt squeezing around my throat. Did I do this to her? How could I not see how weak and sick she's become? I pack a bag for her. On my way out, I see her work files on the desks. When I reach Jerry's house, Jay is outside with his hacky sack. Haley must have heard the car. They approach, questions on their faces. I do my best to reassure her it's all okay while dropping the news their mom is in the hospital, having surgery. Haley and I wait in the car while Jay tells his dad what's happening. Jerry nods consent at the door. Went to room 302 as directed at the desk clerk. Deb looks dead. I fight an impulse to protect them from seeing their mom like this. Tubes sprouting from her like extra limbs, grabbing onto whooshing machines. She shifts a little in the bed, looking up at us, smiling.
Hey guys, don't worry. I'm good. It's okay. Remember, I always look scary without makeup.
"Mom, are you going to quit smoking?" Haley asked.
Well, I think it's the plan. Look, they gave me the nicotine patch.
Deb answers, pointing to her shoulder. Shortly, we're shooed out by nurses with rubber gloves. We walk down the hall, ride the elevator, drive home, we didn't say much, if anything. No need to say out loud what we knew to be fact. She will never quit smoking.
Okay.
Hey, chapter 33 and chapter 34 of our book.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. Remember, you can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, your local bookstore, Inklings, or check it out at the library. And now we had our drawing for a copy of this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the winner is Sydney Hill.
Okay.
So we'll be contacting Sydney and asking how we can get it to her.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Remember, if you watch it, you don't have to watch it live. Please share it, and then your name will go on the drawing for a
Yeah,
chicken soup book.
yeah. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.